Hi, my name is Deb, and today is Tuesday, August 31st of 2021, and this is a natal chart reading for Bran. Bran was born on July 14th of 1978 at 3:15 p.m. in Virginia. I like to start out with an explanation of how I look at astrology. You have put intention and understanding into wanting to know about yourself just by asking to do this reading in the first place. I feel as though when you're looking at your chart, it's not an exact science. You're not looking for facts necessarily. Instead, it's trying to give you some insights or ups and downs, places you might need to focus your energy or places you might not have to focus so much on. So, if you think of your chart as a journey, the houses are going to represent the escalator of your life. Now, we're going to go counterclockwise. The houses are going to show you where something plays out in your life. Then the signs are kind of the attitude that you're going to bring into that aspect of your life. Your house ruler is the sign that's on the cusp of each of the house going counterclockwise. The placements within your chart or the planets, they give added focus to a specific attitude or the sign in whichever house or part of life that exists in. I'll also be covering aspects in this, which are the lines that you can see connecting all the points on your chart. And this shows you the relationships between these points and how they work together. So let's start at the very beginning. Your point of origin for your chart, which is the time that you were born. At that moment, there was a sign, constellation on the horizon, and that represents your rising sign. So right here is the first house, which is the house of self. Now, this is not only the ruler of this first house, but it's also the ruler of your chart. It's your public face, the filter, if you will. You happen to be a Scorpio rising. And some of the things that we think about with Scorpio is they're very mysterious and sexy. And people can be intimidated by you. You also have the generational planet of Uranus here. And that is the planet of change and social and networking. It's your area of rebellion. So you happen to have it in the first house, which makes you a warrior of freedom and independence because that first house is natively ruled by Aries. So it's going to have that kind of feel to it. When you're born, you're just learning about who you are as a person. So having Uranus there is going to help you have just this innate sense of rebelling against things. And with that Scorpio rising, then you're already going to be a little bit secretive. You're going to be quite the mystery. Now, as we move into the second house, that is the house of value, and yours happens to be ruled by Sagittarius. That means you're going to be very giving with the things that you value. Now, value is all relative, so whatever you find value in is specifically what I'm talking about. Like if you find value in something like a plant, as an example, right? If you find value in a plant, then you're going to want to study it and learn about it and like go and experience it in its natural habitat. I use plant because it's a fairly simple example, but that could be, something very advanced because the things that you value are going to be important to how you experience life. In this house, you also have another generational planet. This one is Neptune. Neptune is about intuition, your dreams, the things that you can't see. So in the second house, that is going to indicate that you give a lot of yourself. And this could be to the detriment of the dreams that you have. Now, you want to make sure that you're giving as much to yourself as you give to others. Because I'm going to break off of the pattern here for just a moment because I want to talk about the fact that as a Cancer sun, people are already going to put labels on you of being very motherly. And you were saying in your email that you tend to feel these pulls back and forth. As an example, you feel very ambitious, but you're a stay-at-home mom. Well, let me tell you, and we'll get more into it as we go around your chart. But this says to me that your ambition is really important to you and that you don't have to conform to any standard that you think society or even your family or friends have for you. Meaning, if you feel ambitious and that's what you want to do, that's okay. That is absolutely okay. And you have the power and understanding to figure out how to get that done. And we'll talk more about that as we go around in your chart. Your third house is ruled by Capricorn. You're going to be very strategic in how you communicate. You're going to be really efficient. So you'll probably think about it ahead of time and then efficiently get out the information you need. And you're going to appreciate that in return. Now, this could make you come off as cold, as if you don't have feeling about it. Now, that's not true. You absolutely have feelings about it. It's just that feelings are not important to your communication. It's more important to get the message across strategically, clearly, and efficiently. So when we move to the fourth house, which is ruled by Aquarius, now this is going to mean that you're going to strive for an idealistic home life. It's going to be open and friendly, super social. You probably, in your life in general, the house that has everybody over, you know? You're like the neighborhood watch captain. It's not something that everybody finds to be a typical idealistic life because it is so social. A lot of people might feel like their home life should be more personal, but you feel like the more people that are incorporated in your home life, the better. I often say that if somebody has an air sign, which Aquarius is an air sign, the others are Gemini and Libra. If you have an air sign in your home, it could indicate that you are not cis in any way, shape, or form because your home life, your domestic life is not typical, and I say that with air quotes, because of that Aquarius or air placement in general. So as we move over to the fifth house is about creativity. Yours is ruled by Pisces. So having that amazingly creative, the oldest and wisest sign is Pisces. And they're like the managers of the unseen realm. They know so many things. However, they're really dreamy. So you're going to have super thoughtful expression and a never ending pool of ideas you can just pull from. And not all of your dreams that you come up with might actually come true, but the possibilities that are in your mind are limitless because as Pisces is very rich in their and deep in their understanding of things, they're amazing teachers. Sixth house of routine, yours happens to be ruled by Aries. Now, Aries is the youngest zodiac sign, right? It's the baby daddy, as I like to call it, because this energy feels very like, hey, I'm a daddy, but really they're a baby. And so that kind of energy is going to be brought into your routine where you feel like you've got this and you're on to getting things done and you're quick and it's done, and just make sure that you're double checking super important things. Or once you do figure out where you tend to rush into something, take a step back for a moment, take a breath, and just double check it. The sixth house is also the house of health. And because yours is ruled by Aries, the things that you should look out for, the parts of your body that might have some sort of ill health, would be the head, brain, skull, cranium, eyes, and the adrenals. So have a look out for those. You also have a placement that I picked to talk about for you because you specifically were wondering about your life purpose and kind of interesting details about what we can see here. Now, Chiron, which is this little key looking thing here, it's your wounded warrior, but it's also kind of your superpower. And it's your childhood wounds. It's what you need to change and grow from in order to heal. Now, yours is in Taurus. It's going to give you this innate, deep sense of the need for safety and security. Now, you're amazing at showering others with material things, comfort, luxury. You know what people need, how they need it, but you're going to feel guilty about spoiling yourself. And on top of that, because it's in the sixth house, this can mean that you were plagued with health issues when you were a child. So how you can heal from that is to start learning how to spoil yourself. Start learning how to take care of yourself. That doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your amazing ability to shower other people with these things. In fact, you will heal from doing that. Just make sure that you start to incorporate yourself within that spoiling. Now, we move to 7th house of relationships. For you, yours is ruled by Taurus, the earth sign. It's very slow and steady wins the race. So you're going to want a relationship that's very secure and has high value set to it. You're going to want to be with a partner that casts the same kind of intensity into your relationship that you do. This secureness and this value with all kinds of relationships, not just the romantic ones. Now, when we move into your 8th house of power, that's ruled by Gemini. And so that's going to give you some curiosity about how to transform. And you're going to find your transformation lies in things like the taboo things, or sex, or death, or regeneration, so to speak. That's what death means in this world. So when something is transformation. So when something dies or comes to an end, you have an amazing ability to read or study about it, and you'll understand why that transformation is happening. In fact, you will crave the understanding of all of those things. Like anything that's taboo, you're going to want to read about or absorb information about. You'll also really enjoy learning about these things from other people in your life personally. Now, if you go to the 9th house, which is the house of exploration, yours is ruled by Cancer. This is going to mean that your philosophy and your travel, your sense of adventure, you're going to want it to be comfortable. You're going to want to know things are going to be solid and steady when you go to them. You also have 2 placements here. Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, which is going to give you opinionated sparks of wisdom, meaning you're going to know a lot of things, but you might be a little controversial in how you present them. Along with the Sun here, which represents your ego, and that's going to bring you a thirst for knowledge. So you're going to want to feed your ego with your experiences. You're just going to want to be comfortable doing it, and it's going to help you expand as a person. When we go over to, like, you were talking about your life purpose, specifically when we go to the 10th house, on the cusp of the 10th house is your midheaven. Okay. Now this is your ambition. So the 10th house is going to show us about your career, and it kind of represents your accomplishments and your sense of responsibility and how the public sees you in your standing. You happen to have a midheaven in Leo, which honestly is one of the best midheavens because it's going to bring confidence, drive, admiration. Now watch out for that admiration making you the subject of jealousy. But if we look at your IC, and your IC is located in the 4th house, it's 180 degrees down, right? It's an Aquarius, and that's going to represent the root of your ambition. And for you, because it's Aquarius, that means you are going to have a base that's unique and has random ideas. So now you're going to take that base of those random ideas and this uniqueness and then create this amazing thing. You were talking about you're into the details, but you're about the big picture. That's exactly what this is saying. The big picture is your past, though. That's the Aquarius. It's unique and random. So you're going to take all of that and then you're going to get into the details of it and figure out how you want to create it. You have a 10th house stellium, which is 3 or more points in a single house or sign. That's going to bring extra focus on your success and your ambition. The points that are going to be helping you out with this, Mercury, which is the planet of communication. In Leo, it gives you stimulating language. And then you also have Saturn here, which is a social planet, normally about restriction. But in this case, Saturn is natively ruled by Capricorn in the 10th house. So it's at home here. It means that you are somewhat of a role model. Now you have 2 other placements, but they're in Virgo, still in the 10th house. Your Venus, which is your surrendering energy, bottom energy, if you will. And with Virgo's very analytical. They're the ultimate surrenderer. But what I mean by that is you will only surrender to someone you deem worthy enough to surrender to. And it indicates that you'll want to work with something that you love and also something that you're passionate about, because your Mars is also here. And Mars is your passion and your dominant or top energy. And with Virgo, that's going to bring you a focused drive. So in your ambition, you have the ability to pull from your roots of Aquarius, which is very social. But know that you have this creative, fiery Leo that's going to give you this confidence and drive. That's where your polarity is really showing, is here in that 10th house. You have a 10th house stellium that is all about ambition, and it's grounded and it's creative, but really driven. And then you have the underlying current of that social and dreaminess. When you go to the 11th house, which is natively ruled by Aquarius, but in your case, it's ruled by Virgo. Now, again, Virgo, they're very analytical, but it being in this house, which is the social house, that means that you get your best ideas from a group. However, you will be critical of other people that work in the group. So I'm very similar to this in a lot of ways, and you had mentioned this in your email as well. Yes, get your ideas from our group. You probably work really well at having active group like sessions and idea sessions, but to go and get the job done, you go and do it by yourself. That seems to be the happy medium that works for me, because again, I'm very group oriented in a lot of ways, but I hate actually working in groups. I love collaborating in groups, but I don't like working in groups, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's kind of similar for you. Now, you do have a couple of placements in the 11th house, but now these have moved over to Libra. Now, this is interesting because like you're talking about how you love people, but you're introverted. This is Libra, which is a very social, because it is an air sign. Now, it's not the ruler of your 11th house, but because it has those two placements, it does give it a little extra focus. With your Virgo in there, you're going to be very internal. So that's where you were talking about how you love people so much, but you're very introverted. You love people who are close to you, who have passed a certain amount of tests. That's what that is. But when we move into Libra and that first placement there, that little horseshoe looking thing, that's your North Node represents your destiny, your potential, and your growth. It's the lessons of expansion and strength. Wherever your North Node is, your South Node is going to be exactly 180 degrees from it. And your South Node is going to be your comfort zone, where you've had a lot of experience and history. It feels like home to you. So your destiny is about gaining knowledge in a group setting because it's in the 11th house. Now, this is going to be rooted in reflecting on how to be bold. And that's because of your South Node. You also have the generational planet of Pluto here, which is the planet of transformation. Now, that means socially, you are going to seek to lead the world through transformation by compromising. We have the 12th house, which is your subconscious. It's the wisest house. Yours is ruled by Libra. Libra means you have a weakness for injustice. You can't handle it. If something is unjust, you will not be able to leave it alone, especially with the fact that the moon is here. That represents your emotions. You are always going to want to trust your gut, and your intuition is always going to crave balance. Sometimes your balance may be skewed slightly, as Libra does. Libra is a very unselfish sign, and they tend to also do a lot for others instead of themselves. So do you hear the common theme here? I would like to let you know that you need to do more for you. You need to make more time for yourself, and you don't need an excuse or reason behind it. Just because. Okay? Now, I'm not going to cover all of the aspects, but I do want to cover some of them. Now, conjunction, it means blended energy. Now, you'll see below that I have a list. If you type in Sun conjunction Jupiter natal, you will get more description of each of these aspects. You have, in the conjunction, like I said, the blended energies, your sun is conjunct with Jupiter. That gives you amazing and enormous potential for expansion. So your personality is just larger than life. Your Mercury is conjunct with your midheaven, which is going to bring you superior intelligence. Your sextile, which is cooperative aspects. Now, these cooperative aspects, you have like your sun is sextile to your Mars, which doesn't make you competitive but playful about it. But you have Mercury sextile Pluto, and that's a psychic placement. When you go to square, as an example, this is more about conflict. They're literally squaring up to each other. Like, hey, I'm watching you. What are you doing? Like that. They're not happy about each other. So these are the things that you might want to look at. That's to show you where you might have a struggle. As an example, with your sun square to Pluto, it's going to have a bit of unsettlement feeling in your relationships. And that's just because it's feeling like they can your relationships are changing who you are as a person and transforming you, which is a good thing, but it scares you. So just look out for that. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It could be telling you exactly what you need to know. Now, when we talk about trine, is the same element that's in sync. So your Mercury that's trine with your Neptune, there's that gut instinct again, right? It's telling you that you need to trust your gut. So if your gut is telling you that you need to be doing something else with your life, you should be trusting that. That's what that's saying right there. And you are a genius at the details, but you're also very generous with your entertainment. And you have spiritual devotion, which could mean anything, anything, whatever you believe in spiritually. Again, it's all relative. You do have a T-square that you wanted me to talk about. And your T-square is your ascendant and Uranus that are in opposition with your Chiron, which is your wounded warrior. Now, these two are looking at each other and they're using each other to motivate. And so when they're in this kind of debate about things, the wounds are like, hey, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And your rising and Uranus are like, hey, but we want to do this. Well, guess who's going to help? Your ambition, the midheaven up at the top, it's going to help you to heal your wounds and your image in your social circle. So, Bran, I hope that this reading was helpful to you, and be well. Cheers.